From the foreclosure of the poverty crisis within the era of the nihilists, which is a socialist agreement between us and the state begins to transform into a substance of absolute control over the mind. So why the hypergamy of a soul would envelop into such a liquidic and lymphatic substance would have to be deprived upon on whether or not they've been subjugated to previous orders. So if subjugation occurs, the mind excels on the absolute drift of who gets to have their entitled community around them, and they preach the word based on their own linguistic virtues. So, since the stratification of nihilism happens, the inherent agreement between who gets to be the preacher is traded in these systems because we trade on who gets to denominate the absolute lens of society. So if a Magna Carta is manufactured, not only does the limbo get excommunicated to whoever is the author of the book is a leveling field for all people that begin on their Aristotelian plane. So if they believe in anything other than the projects of their city, not only do they get sovereignized into a old order, their order becomes dynastic in reach. So they lose the ability to ingrain themselves on the state all over again. So this is how money capture happens. So under money capture, we lend to the state our ability to conform to the union. And unions are post and process to each plane that derives themselves from equity. And equity is abolishable, but it's still non-utility. So if utility is a function of all of these planes, not only does the subject manifest as a object, the lens is a reach for the object to objectify. So if we sanction these lenses to agree upon themselves instead of each other, not only do they distill substances from other people's reach because they include themselves on the plane of object lesson is annotative and detonative at the same time. So they transfer between electrical charges. Electricity no longer is a substance particle here, but a field of alignment. And alignment gets codified through the systematic enslavement of the objective class, which would be the distillery. So distilleries are uniform, but they are not tyrannical. They do not run on the plains of coastal agreements. They run on the architecture of travesties. So travesties are the only reason these laboratories are being created, and the only reason why we understand the planes of acceleration at all is to detonate the theory that we are at all minds. So if we are minds in these systems, not only do we have to begin to order ourselves as if we're terrestrial, the global objective is to get out of it and to leave the objective space completely to leave for the market. And markets are capital in this system because the extracurricular planes of the lenses no longer exist to displace meaning, they exist to displace junctions of inclusive thoughts. So if inclusive thoughts occur, not only do they spiritualize the pasteurization of each indivisible analytica. The analytica is a pragmatica of the lexis of their own intuition, which would be to denounce features as if they are able and adverb at the same time, so that ables are still injunction of the envelope of their party, which would be to indulge as singular members of society in a mailman system.